Although this is a small table, the glue up is going to happen in multiple steps. I'm a big believer in controlled, almost surgical glue ups. Anytime the hammer comes out and we're really having to whack things to make them move around, the glue up's gone south. So in this case, we'll glue up the front, probably in 2 stages, then glue up the back, and then add them to each other. For the front assembly, I put a good heavy film of glue on the walls of the mortises. I put a lighter film of glue on the tenons, almost minimal on the front one, to try to minimize squeeze out. I insert the first end. It looks pretty good. On the second joint, the slot for the banding is not lining up with the leg and needs to be moved. It's easier to move it with a clamp in a more controlled manner than to try to hit it with a hammer or a dead blow. Put the top blade in without glue. That'll be added later, but we need it in to square the opening. The cauls are designed to put pressure on the front and back edges. Putting tape on them and folding it across the top holds them in place. To make sure it's not racked, lay a straight edge across the back. Yellow glue tacks very quickly. I'm going to tap out the upper blade and glue it in place. I put a thin film of glue inside the sockets, a thin film on the tails, and then put it together. Tap it a little bit. Since the dead blow didn't quite set it, I'm going to use a clamp to pull it all the way in. Reinstall the original clamp and check for square. I'm going to let this dry in the back vise and then glue up the rear assembly. To glue the rear, I put a heavy film inside of the mortises and once again a lighter film on the tenons. That's done to reduce squeeze out. Assemble the joints, making sure the banding on the leg lines up with the banding on the apron. Then a good clamp to pull it all together. Make sure the legs are flat by checking with a straight edge. I'm going to let these 2 sub-assemblies dry. Put a heavy film of glue on the inside of the mortise. Not quite as much on the inner face of the tenon, even lighter on the outer face. Insert the first apron, paying a special attention that the bandings line up. Normally, on a table this size, I'd glue it all at once. But here, I'm concerned about the bandings lining up. I'm going to glue just the front. But so that I can clamp it and keep it square, I'll put the back on dry as well. Then, put on the glue blocks, add the clamps. Doing a 2-stage glue up might be an extra step, but this way, the bandings are dead on. Once the first stage is dry, carefully take off the back assembly. Glue the mortises, and then the tenons. Don't forget the kicker. Put the glue blocks back on and return the clamps. To tighten the kicker joint, temporarily use a clamp. The glue up seems to have gone quite well. It's a good time now to flush up some joints and to go ahead and make the drawer runners.